Top 20 Teacher Assistant Interview Questions and Answers. A teacher assistant, or also known as teacher's aide, is an expert who mostly tutors students one-on-one or in small groups. This article provides 20 probable interview questions along with the answers if you are applying to become a teacher assistant. Let's look at the questions now. 1. Why are you interested in this position? Sample answer: I have a great passion for education. I have had years of experience as a teacher and a teacher assistant. Throughout the years, I find myself liking my role as a teacher assistant more, as I could help the students' growth more proactively. I wish I could expand my experience here and on looking more positive development among students here. 2. What are the roles of a teacher assistant? Sample answer: a teacher assistant mainly provides support for the teacher in lesson planning as well as conducting a lesson. Aside from helping with the writing of lesson plans, they are also responsible to prepare necessary teaching aids. Other than that, the teacher assistant mostly helps in enhancing learning for small groups of students. In some cases, teacher assistant may be tasked with administration-related works or replacing absent teachers for classes. 3. What are the qualities that a teacher assistant should possess to be effective? Sample answer: a good teacher assistant needs to be observant, since they are the one who is responsible to enhance students' learning process, especially in small groups. Failure in noticing students' issues or underperformances will hinder the growth of students. That aside, teacher assistant needs to have good interpersonal skills in maintaining a good relationship, not only with students but also with the staffs and parents. 4. What major challenges did you face during your last role? How did you handle it? Sample answer: one of the biggest challenges I had when working as a teacher assistant was to tackle students' behavior. Being in an education role is tough as there is no manual or textbook to handle different students. However, I managed to get the hang of it gradually. One of the solutions is by approaching them and making them trust me as an educator and a friend. It was a tough but satisfying challenge. 5. Describe your daily routine as an assistant principal. Sample answer: the first thing I did when I arrived at school was checking the teacher's lesson plan. This would give me the gist of what would be taught and what I could do to help ease the lesson. I would then help to prepare the materials for the lesson and set up the classroom. Another daily task would be aiding the lesson and reflecting on the previous lesson. 6. Describe briefly your experience. Sample answer: I had 2 years' experience as a teacher assistant. During those years, I was assigned to work on one-on-one teaching for special educational needs students. It was a great opportunity for me to learn how to teach one-on-one, aside from the technique of teaching special students. Another task that I deeply enjoyed was being part of the teacher committee of a summer camp. I learned how to organize and plan programs aimed for students. 7. What kind of strategies and mindset is required for this role? Sample answer: my mindset to work as a teacher assistant is to be flexible. I always remind myself that there are days when things will not work out as planned, and any other obstacles that may obstruct my ways. Hence, I need to be flexible and adapt to any unexpected change as well. Doing this will prepare my mind so that I would not be too affected and disappointed, which will later hinder my performance as a teacher assistant. 8. What is the biggest challenge that you foresee in this job? Sample answer: the biggest challenge that I foresee in this job is the increasing workload. Recently, there has been a constant transformation in the education system, and I am aware that the teacher's workload has been increasing rapidly. This may be the same for a teacher assistant as well. It may be quite tough to adapt to the new education system, but I believe with organized time management and solutions, I may be able to face them well. 9. How do you stay motivated at work? Sample answer: in the education field, I personally think the biggest motivation is the student. I always remind myself that seeing my students accomplish even the smallest task is a huge success for me as a teacher. In my previous position, I once had a sharing session where students gave me letters on their opinion about myself. Seeing their effort boosted my motivation a lot. 10. Describe a time you failed in this role and the lesson you learned. Sample answer: One of the challenges I faced back when I was a teacher assistant was the overloaded demands from teachers. Being a novice staff there, I always accepted whatever requests the teachers asked me. That results in being extremely exhausted and underperformance. A teacher then advised me to be firm with others, and that I should not accept unnecessary tasks blindly. That experience taught me to be firm and be more organized in my time management. 11. What would you do if a student kept on disrupting the classroom? Sample answer. Some students tend to be disruptive because they need something. It is important for me as a teacher assistant to approach the student and identify what the student need. I will have to help the student's tasks individually. If the behavior persists, I might have to resort to disciplinary action with the teacher's approval. 12. Imagine a student refusing to perform the task assigned by the teacher. What would you do? Sample answer. I would first pinpoint the reason why the student refuses to perform the tasks. Once the reason has been identified, I would think of an applicable measure that might work in convincing the student to perform the task given. Most of the time, working with the students together may work in attracting students' interests. Besides, I will intrinsically motivate the students so that they would feel accomplished when completing the tasks. 13. What teaching method do you think is most suitable for a teacher assistant? Sample answer. As a teacher assistant, in my opinion, the best teaching method is the individual approach. It would be very tedious for the teacher to check on every student individually, hence it is my responsibility to approach them. Doing this may provide reliable insight on students' performance and capabilities. I will also be able to pinpoint if they do not understand the lesson, and provide guidance immediately. 14. Briefly share what do you think are the skills needed to be a good teacher assistant? Sample answer. To become a good teacher assistant, it is important to enjoy working with students. Lack of passion and interest to work with students will obstruct the smoothness of a good lesson. Besides that, it is equally important to be creative and adaptive to students' behavior. Different student possesses different behavior, and some may be more difficult to handle than others. Hence, it is important to be able to handle their behavior necessarily. 15. Have you ever had a conflict with a colleague? Sample answer. There was a time where I had a conflict with a teacher I helped. It was quite trivial, but since the tension was high due to the increasing workload, that issue affected us. I mustered my courage to talk about the issue with the teacher, and we managed to overcome our differences. At times, when the problem was huge, I had to ask for a mediator to help solve the problem. 16. Do you have any experience in using the latest classroom technology? Sample answer. Some of the technology that I am familiar with are interactive whiteboard, gamification such as Quizizz and Kahoot, and social media. I have experience helping teachers to adopt technology in the classroom. I believe it is extremely important to adopt technology in the classroom as much as possible, since students nowadays are more interested in technology. 17. What do you think is your biggest weakness as a teacher assistant? Sample answer. My weakness that I am aware of is keeping track of the curriculum. I enjoy providing a non-textbook lesson with free topics. This is quite troublesome, since teachers need to ensure they manage to follow and finish the curriculum for the semester and year. To counter this, I need to regularly check the required curriculum and objectives that are aimed for the lessons. 18. Do you think it is important to intervene with students' interest in school? Sample answer. I think it is the educator's responsibility to make sure students enjoy being at school. No matter what position they are in, when one is involved in the education field, they have to try to attract students' interest in school. When students are interested to come to school, it would simultaneously improve their learning processes as well. 19. What are the important elements of a good lesson? Sample answer. There are various factors of a good lesson. It is important to bear in mind that some lesson plans may work smoothly while some won't. I think the most important element of a good lesson are the teacher and teacher assistants themselves. What would they do if there are unforeseen problems that occur during the lesson? Being able to face and solve the problem without affecting the whole lesson is needed by both teacher and teacher assistant. 20. What would you do to make the school a safe environment for students? Sample answer. I will make sure to pay attention to even the slightest hints of problems that may be faced by students. Early identification may prevent a more serious problem. It is also encouraged to convince students that they could trust and rely on teachers. Doing this allows students to feel secure in sharing what problems